There should be 100+ legislators in Winona over that 3-day period, holding different committee meetings, and they'll be going around to other parts of southeastern Minnesota as well. So that's something I think we can all look forward to. And I also want to thank everybody that was involved. We had Mr. Ito here from the Japanese consulate in Chicago a week ago, and we were able to show off Winona with tours of Peerless Chain and Winona State's Composite Engineering School and a lot of other things. So it was really good to have them there, and I know there were a number of staff members and some council members involved in that. Also, I've got a proclamation here I'd like to read for the Girl Scouts. Whereas since 1912, Girl Scouting has fueled the leadership pipeline in our communities by preparing and inspiring millions of girls and women to be active leaders with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouts has been the preeminent leadership development organization for girls, where they can unleash their potential to be the leaders our world needs both now and in the future. And whereas Girl Scouts' expertise and timeless programming offers every girl a chance to practice a lifetime of leadership in a girl-led, girl-focused, and all-girl environment. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls gain courage and confidence, character to make their local communities and the world a better place. And whereas girls get exposure to new experiences in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, the outdoors, and entrepreneurship through Girl Scouts' unique programs. And whereas 28,000 local Girl Scouts members and 9,000 volunteers will be celebrating 107 years of this American tradition and its contributions to the community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Mark Peterson, hereby proclaim the week of September 16th, 2019 as Girl Scout Spirit Week in the city of Winona, and encourage residents to recognize and applaud the commitment Girl Scouting has made to America's girls. And another one I'm proud to read, whereas the Winona Family YMCA has served unselfishly the individuals and families that reside in the community of Winona for over 133 years with programs and services that have enhanced the quality of our lives and the quality of our community, and today serves approximately 4,000 members and hundreds of program participants each year. And whereas the Winona Family YMCA has always been, is today, and will be in the future, focused on the youth of our community, and that the Y instills the 4 core values of respect, responsibility, caring, and honesty into their programs. And whereas no one is ever turned away from the YMCA due to the inability to pay, and all persons are welcomed no matter of their race, religion, gender, age, or abilities. And whereas the YMCA collaborates with dozens of other agencies, businesses, churches, and schools providing programs and services that meet critical social concerns, and that the Winona Family YMCA shares facilities, staff, and resources with others. And whereas the Winona Family YMCA is building a new facility to better serve the children, men, women, and families of our community, and is within $3,100,000 of its capital campaign goal necessary for those plans to become a reality and benefit all those that reside in and visit Winona. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Mark Peterson, hereby proclaim the week of August 5th, 2019 as Winona Family YMCA Week in the city of Winona, Minnesota. And on behalf of the city of Winona, would like to thank all the wonderful volunteers working on the capital campaign and encourage all citizens of Winona to support the YMCA and the remaining $3,100,000 capital campaign effort. And with that, I would like to present this to some Y board members. Where would you like to do it? Run it up easier. Yeah.
How you doing? See us?
Rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears. Yay.
All the best.
Made a couple songs, we would have had the whole movie up here.
Get very excited and things happen over and
And that's all I have. So, city manager?
Just want to remind everyone that tomorrow's National Night Out at East Rec, 5 p.m. tomorrow evening.
All right, roll call.
Mayor Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Thurley,
Here.
Mueller,
Here.
Alexander,
Here.
Iden,
Here.
Borzakowski,
Here.
Scholmeyer,
Here.
All right, under petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is the reappointment to the Recreation Waterways Commission.
Make a motion to approve that appointment.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George. This is reappointing James Bamanek. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Item 3.2 is an application for an off-sale 3.2% malt liquor license for Freedom Value.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Has the applicant provided that certificate that was missing?
Oh, it was the insurance.
Has yet to
certificate.
provide this in the insurance?
If they haven't, we won't forward it until they do.
Okay,
Right.
all right,
It's because it's a sale, sometimes that gets hung up.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.3 is a request from the Main Street program for the Big Muddy Brewing Queue event.
Make a motion to approve that request. Second that.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. I have a question. Do they pay rent for the levy part?
They had, but now I'm wondering if that didn't change with the partnership part of it?
Mayor and council, they do not pay a rental fee, primarily because we send funds from the city through the Main Street program, so it's an exchange of checks otherwise, and so we have waived the fees as part of our partnership.
Okay, I just remember we waived it for Steamboat Days and didn't know if we were doing it here. All right, any questions? Al?
On the Exhibit A in the proposal here on item 6, talks about 24 parking spaces at the west end of Lot 7 or 60 Main Street. And then they say it shall be closed to vehicular traffic from 7 a.m. Saturday, September 1st, you mean August 31st, through 2 p.m. Monday, September 3rd, or is that Tuesday, September 3rd? Because Tuesday is September 3rd, Monday is the 2nd.
It should be Tuesday, because no one's there to pick up the.
I'm just wondering here where this is going. When we have this approval for parking spaces, make sure that, you know, we keep them open as possible, not only for special events like this, but also for general parking.
Happen on Monday.
So Mayor and council, I would just recommend you make that part of your motion to amend Exhibit A, or to make that change for Exhibit A. Or within Exhibit A, it should be for
Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday,
Yeah.
September 1st through 2 p.m. Monday, September 2nd.
Yep.
That's just the change of dates.
Okay.
So it's Monday.
I don't know if we have to require a special amendment for that, or just consensus.
We have consensus on that?
I
Okay.
think we're okay with that.
All right.
I'm glad you caught
Any other questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.4 is a temporary wine and malt liquor license for the Big Muddy Brewing Queue.
Make a motion to approve that license.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Any questions? Paul?
One observation I've had in the past are extremely long lines for beverages. Is that something that?
Our new Main Street coordinator maybe can answer that.
Ben?
Come on up. We'll put you on the spot here.
Introduce yourself first, please.
Yeah, my name is Ben. I'm the new Main Street Program Coordinator. And to answer your question, I'm not entirely sure how many places we'll be serving liquor from. I just know we're only going to be serving beer at this point, and as for how many spots, I'm not sure yet.
That's just one of the observations and citizen complaints that I've heard is just long lines.
Okay.
They need more volunteers to sell that beer. That's what they need.
Yeah, volunteer will be going out soon, and if anybody knows anyone who wants to participate in the rebating contest, we'll be doing that on stage, so send them my way and I'll get them signed up.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Not, let's, what?
Rib eating contest?
Rib.
Rip.
Oh, I thought you said web.
Oh, rib.
It's one of those things where you probably don't want to win.
Really?
All right, I think we can vote, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.5 is a license agreement for the Great Dakota Gathering.
Make a
Move to
motion to
approve.
approve that agreement. Oh, sorry.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Michelle. Questions? I have one. Are they paying rent?
Mayor and Council, in your agenda item, it states that the city is providing insurance for this event, and since we are providing insurance, it's considered a city event, and so we do not charge a fee for rental.
Okay. Did I see your hand up, Bill?
Yeah, I'm just curious, and hopeful that the people involved will publicize the fact that more than likely Parks Avenue between Highway 61 and the Unity Park will more than likely still remain closed as a staging area for the equipment and the contractor for the new YMCA. Just so that they're made aware of that when this goes out as an approved item.
I have one question. I guess, Brian, if you wouldn't mind. It said that there's a education day for fifth graders or something on August 23rd. The school?
No, that's, I am Brian Mueller, I'm the president of the WDUA. The Education Day is not going to be held in conjunction with this event this year.
Okay. I just questioned if that was happening. Okay. And what are the attendance numbers from like the last couple of years?
Attendance numbers?
Just curious.
We've averaged around 2,000 attendees per year. We're expecting at least that much this year again because of the Winona All Call with Winona Duke's birthday party going on at the same weekend. So we're expecting really good attendance.
Okay.
And sir, you can contact folks and let them know that road's closed?
Right, yeah. Patrick let us know that last week, and
Great.
we get that out with all our publicity.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say about the event while you're standing there?
You are all welcome to come. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be a lot more traditional than it's been in the past, a little smaller scale, but we're going to have a community potluck dinner. I think you'll really enjoy it.
All right. Well, thank you. Any other questions? Are we ready to vote? George?
Yeah, I think too, like I say, with that road closed, which Al, that's a good point. There will be a lot of extra traffic out there on Mankato Avenue for a couple of days. So everybody just be patient. We'll get through it, and everything will go along just fine. So.
Okay. All right, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.6 is a request for street closure, Harriet Street for a block party.
Move to approve that request.
Second that.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.7 is a request to close a portion of Kansas Street.
Move to approve.
Second that.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.8 is Zumbro Street closure requested by the Winona Area Catholic Schools.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Motion by George, seconded by Paul. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.9 is the Winona State University street closure request.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.10 is the Wabasha Street closure request.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Michelle. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.11 is a sign and banner schedule.
Move to approve that schedule.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. I had one question. I didn't see the cemetery walk on this list, and I was gonna ask Michelle about
I
that.
think they went on the earlier schedule. These are the,
Did they?
yeah,
Okay.
they're the one that we had previously
Okay,
approved.
all right. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.12 is a license agreement for a handicap ramp at Lado's Bakery.
Move to approve that request.
I'll second.
Motion by George, seconded by Michelle. Discussion? I know it's needed. I know that. We had a individual within a wheelchair that frequently went to Blado's, and they would bring the donuts out to her car, which was nice of them, but I know they need a ramp. So. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.13 is the Live at the Levee Rhythm at the River.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.14 is a request for a utility bill reduction at 477 Wilson Street.
Linda Purnell, are you here? Okay. Would you like to step to the microphone, tell us your name and address and your case?
I've got a bill that is nowhere near the bills I usually have. So I don't know what happened. It can't be that high because I live with my daughter. We go to another's house and shower, wash our clothes, go to the bathroom. So this can't be that high. I don't know if they read it wrong or what happened.
Okay. Any questions for Linda Purnell? Al?
Have you had your facilities looked at in the home?
Yes, we have. We've run a dye through it and everything. We have no leak, nothing.
And you're not using water in excess of what you
We
normally
only,
do?
we go back to the house to run the water for giving it fresh water for the dog and the cat.
Okay. George?
Ms. Purnell, do you live in this house?
Yes,
Okay, but you mentioned that you use a house next door for your bathroom facilities and
no,
shower
we don't go to
facilities?
the house next door.
Or, well, when you first started out, you said something that you went somewhere else, or did I hear that wrong?
Yeah, we go to another's house.
Oh, you go to another's house, so, okay. So like at the home on 477 Wilson Street, what would you normally run water for? You touched base on some of it, but do you do any laundry there?
No, we don't do laundry at that address. We have a problem, when we run the water in the kitchen, it doesn't stop. So you can't take a shower or a bath because the kitchen water doesn't stop running. I can't afford to run the water. I can't afford to get the water in the kitchen fixed. I live on $600 a month on Social Security. I'm supporting my daughter on that too. We can't even make it to the end of the month on that amount of water, or I mean, not that amount of money. we're going to the food shelf, or it's a decision between groceries and medication. Half the time, we don't get groceries. And when I get a water bill like this, I can't afford to pay anything this high, and there's no way that this high of a water bill ever comes to my house. So I don't know what's going on.
So what you're saying is your kitchen faucet does not shut off?
No, so when we turn it on, we have to quickly, if anybody goes to the bathroom in that house, we have to quickly fill up the back of the toilet and plunge the stuff down, and then quickly fill up the stuff with water, because the kitchen doesn't stop running.
Okay.
Michelle?
I know Keith isn't here, but I wonder if this might not partly be because we raised our service fees. Because what I've noticed in my home is that the water fee and the sanitary fee are more than I use in water as a single person as well. And so I'm very concerned, Linda, that this might be your, instead of $66 a month, the new might be $92.
No, we've always had it in the 60s, low 60s.
But the fees went up for having sewer and water. And that, so I noticed in the last quarter that my bill went up like that as well. And so that's what I'm telling you. My concern is that you're in a dire situation, and this might be the new normal.
That situation has been that way for a long time.
Not the water fees, though. Those fees changed. That's what I'm saying.
When
is
did
that
they change?
We've been implementing slow changes over the last 3 years. And then every year they've gone up a little. And now what I notice when I get my bill, much like yours, is the water fee and the sanitary sewer fee are almost as much as your water fee, just to use the water. So what I'm saying is I'm concerned that what we're seeing here is what those fees are doing to your water bill, not what your water usage is doing.
That water bill has been the same for years.
So, but the fees are not the same anymore. The water usage might be the same, but the fees to use water aren't the same.
But the fees have been the same.
They've been going up, because we all voted on that together. We
They
set the
haven't
new
gone up
fees.
on my bill. The bill has been the same. This is the first time I've gotten it, something like this high.
Right, because they are changing, the fees are changing. So that, I'm telling you, I'm concerned about that for you, Linda, because I'm not sure that adjusting it this month is actually gonna fix the problem for you, because you're not using a lot of water. Your fee for water usage is only $30. So when you look at your bill, what you're actually paying the most of is the access fee, to have the water turned on, and to have the sewer turned on.
The water is on, when we turn the water on to use it, it just keeps running.
I know, but
can't-
you're not using a lot of water in the house, is what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you, you're not.
We're using the same amount we always use.
Right, but the other things have changed, not because of you, because of what the city had done to make our sanitary sewer and water situation functional, because they
How can
weren't.
it be that, how can we do, when you use the same amount of water and you're getting the same bill, how can all of a sudden this be almost $30 more?
Because we changed the fees to have water at your house, not to use water, to have water. We put an access fee in.
When I checked with the water department, they said the same thing. It shouldn't be that high if you're not changing what you've been doing. All these years.
I wish I could see your past bills, because all we can see right now is that your previous bill was $30 less.
Well, when I checked with the guy here, they said that you guys would have our past bills.
So I
we don't
I
have
don't
that.
have them.
Well, they said that you guys would have them.
You just have the one.
Because the past bills were all roughly the same exact,
Right.
Well, any other questions, George?
These fees that we're talking about, now, those would have gone into effect in January, right?
Yes, but depending on when you get your quarterly bills, you might not have seen that effect until later in the year. So I only started noticing it my last quarterly bill, that all of my fees were higher than my water usage. Believe me, I didn't like it either.
Well, I thought everything went into effect. Well, like I said, yeah, it depends when you get your bill. If you get it
Yeah.
the first quarter, second quarter, whatever it may be.
all my fees, all my water bills have been the same.
Okay.
There's been no change whatsoever.
All right, do we have any other questions for Linda Purnell?
Just have
Al?
one. Did the city change your water meter?
No. I can't afford something like this. I can't even afford to eat, for God's sake.
Have you looked at finding other social service agencies in the community that might help you out?
I've went through
Have you
everything.
reached out to them?
I've gone through everything.
Volunteer services?
Yeah,
What do they say?
I've gone through everything.
I'm
You
surprised.
talk to the county?
What can the county do?
Well, I don't know.
They
I
pay
guess
these
they have
kind of things.
a lot of, they handle most of the social
Social
service.
services, yeah, for the county. Check them, because they,
You might talk to them.
I've gone through everything I can go through
Well,
that I know of.
all right. Well, that's not something we can probably settle here tonight, but, George, did you have something?
Yeah, as we're meeting right now, is your kitchen faucet running?
No, we have to turn the water off.
Okay, so you shut the whole water cycle off in the
Yeah.
house? Okay.
Used 500 gallons last year, 1,000 this year, it's double.
The city manager is pointing out that on your bill,
It looks like you used double the water. Again, I'm not saying that you used it. All I'm saying is it went through the meter. That's the only thing that we track. I guess I would ask the council to just table this for right now. Let me look back and get a little bit more research on previous use.
yeah, because it looks like you've used double the amount of water that you did prior year to date, it looks like. So is there a motion to table?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion by Pam, seconded by
I just,
Eileen.
can I make a
Sure.
comment that they don't apply late fees or anything like that to this account
Correct.
until we settle it?
Yep,
Okay.
until we settle it.
Chad?
Mayor and council just want to mention to Ms. Parnell that senior advocacy might be another avenue to look for emergency services. She could at least make that request through the advocacy program. I'm not saying that they'll pay, but once it's resolved or whatever decision, that might be another avenue to.
That's at the Senior Friendship Center?
Oh, Laura's here, she can.
All right, so we have a motion to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Table. We'll revisit this next meeting.
So I just sit with it?
Yes. And there won't be any late fees for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Under unfinished business, item 4.1 is the award contract for the Riverview Drive construction project.
Make a motion to approve Dunn Blacktop as the, I guess, the blacktopper.
Second.
Okay, motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Discussion? All right. George? Sorry.
Yes, Brian, would we be seeing any work done this year? I know that's gonna be a massive project, and I know Matthew Construction and everyone else, they're all behind in work there, and they're not gonna get this project done in 2 weeks.
No. The project should start this year. At minimum, we'll try to get the guardrail where there was the accidents over the years done. The light signal poles, there's a lead time of a half a year on them. That has gotten bigger and bigger as the year went on. It used to be 8 weeks would have been able to have been done the way the initial term was set on this project. We put an addendum out with the project to finish by June 30th of next year. So at worst case, June 30th, that would be where I would bet it'll end up, just because the signals at Second Street aren't going to be available by the end of this year. So that's probably what you'll see,
So the work could actually probably be starting next year sometime.
more than likely, to make it more efficient, because they have to change the radius and such on Second Street, Second and Riverview, to where it probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to tear a lot of it up, and we're certainly not want it torn up through the winter. Not even close do we want that.
Sure. And this price has a time frame on it, correct?
It was bid as June 30th, so they have to hold their prices as such.
Okay, thank you.
Al?
I assume the motion includes the contingency of approval from the Office of Civil Rights?
That is in the resolution, it is contingent. They
Just wanna make
received
that
their
clear.
stuff today,
Oh, they
and it should go, the contractor's actually exceeding their requirements, so I see no problem with it, but contingent on it.
Correct. Great, thanks.
Anything else?
Well, I'm just curious, why are lead times increasing so much?
There is one signal manufacturer, Millibrand, and much like our general contractor, they do what they please to do. It's, when you have the monopoly, you get to set the rules as you want them set.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4.2 is the Madison School Comprehensive Plan Amendment Request, semi-public institutional education to the urban residential.
Make a motion to approve that request.
Second.
Amendment.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by George. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the renewal of the Winona State University Transit Service Agreement.
Make a motion to approve that agreement.
Second that.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Pam. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.2 is the Certified Local Government Grant Agreement for Old City Hall.
Make a motion to approve the attached resolution to enter the two attachments. As well, the resolution entering into a grant agreement and a certified local government grant agreement.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.3 is the Woodlawn Cemetery Recreational Easement Agreement.
Make a motion to adopt the attached resolution.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by, is that Paul?
Yep.
Okay. Chad?
Mayor Council, just a few comments as we, the next two items you see where the bluff traverse is part of both agenda items we applied for granting. The current trail system within Woodlawn property becomes a significant piece of that trail network. And because it's on private property, the city has worked with Woodlawn to develop a 25-year recreational easement. And this agreement would meet the requirements of the legacy grant. The agreement before you tonight is not 100% complete. The resolution, if you approve, allows us to submit the recreational easement with our grant application, come back and do survey work that's needed on the property to set the easterly boundary of the property. So we are coming to you tonight for to what's called the form of the agreement so that we can submit the legacy grant application. And then the resolution does provide for us to do that survey work and then add the attachment, I think it's Exhibit D, within the agreement.
Okay.
I do want to extend my gratitude to Woodlawn Superintendent Tim Leahy, my former mayor, Mr. Slaggy, other board members at Woodlawn, their representative, Cindy Telstead, certainly the mayor and the city attorney. This was a long process. I think that we've reached a good agreement. I think because the trails are heavily used by the public, and grant funding is approved, this certainly will be enhanced experience for the user. So again, our gratitude for Woodlawn on working on this project with us.
Okay. Any questions? Al?
You know, as I look this over, $5,000 is the annual fee. And that's for a 25-year term. It's $125,000 over that time period, plus any increases every 5 years of the agreement, as I read it right. I guess my question would be, how is that number arrived at? Does the cemetery, I mean, is this something that the land that the cemetery owns is not useful for anything else except trails? Or it's not useful for an expansion of the cemetery? I guess I'm just curious about that, whether and how this was all arrived at. I know you know, gave accolades to all the people that worked on it, but we didn't know about that until now.
Tim
Hi,
Leahy,
Tim.
the superintendent from Woodlawn.
Yep.
The numbers came from basically, there were some items that we were talking with the city to compensate for getting into this easement agreement. It was probably double that amount. We finally came to terms at $5,000.
And this is,
The
yeah.
use, granted, we're not gonna be using for cemetery
Okay.
purposes, but the property, but we basically went and got estimates in regards to what we were looking at. That came to roughly about 12 to 13,000. We sold it for 5.
yeah, and you have timber rights as well.
Yes.
You know, we read that in the agreement as well. Okay. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, I guess we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.4 is the Bluff Traverse Legacy Grant application.
Make a motion to approve this application.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Discussion? Al?
Assuming the grant is approved, can any of that be used to pay the easement for Woodlawn?
Mayor and council, we would not use any of that granting dollars for that. That'd be something that'll be done through the annual budget process.
Okay.
Since we're talking about Garvin Heights, I had two motor coaches up there last week, and there's the sumac needs to be cut down. As the view from Garvin Heights is not good. So hopefully somebody can pass that on.
Mayor and council will pass it on to Woodlawn.
That's all. They left.
Thankfully, they're gone.
We'll pass it on to Winona State.
Okay, thank you.
Just clarification on the same point. So the overlooks are managed by Winona State? So isn't that what Mayor Peterson, you were talking about?
Yeah, when you stand at the wall and you're looking over the city, right in the center is all this sumac growing.
That's managed by Winona State?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
All right, are we ready to vote? Looks like it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.5 is the Friendship Center Masonic Temple reuse study.
I make a motion to accept option 2 and direct staff to provide for funding in 2020 budget process.
I'd be glad to second that.
All right, we have a motion by Michelle and an enthusiastic second by Pam. Discussion. Yeah.
So the staff is going to look at all the funding options. And what has been suggested to me in conversation with folks about this is that, you know, you look at all of the costs involved and maybe consider looking at applying for a local option sales tax to fund some of these activities that we're now getting into and will, if this is approved, and as well as the Masonic upgrades and, you know, those kinds of needs.
Well, they will look at all options.
No, that's my suggestion.
I know we spent quite a lot of time speaking with concerned groups at the Friendship Center, but if we could also make sure that we're talking to the families that currently use the East End Rec to make sure that their needs would be met with this change as well. I just don't want to displace anyone.
Good suggestion. George?
So following bullet point number 2, then does this tell us now that we would be moving the Senior Friendship Center to the East End Rec Center?
Well, it's certainly taking us in that direction.
It's
We've got
taking
to
us in
figure out
that
the
direction,
funding.
so that's still not a direct yes or no, we would be going there.
Well, that's the way I'm reading it.
So,
I don't know. Chad?
I think the microphone's working. It doesn't sound like
I think it is.
It's working.
Yeah. The other one isn't.
Mayor and council, there we go. You would approve that, or you direct staff to look at the funding options and how this relates to the 2020 budget. So I've been very clear with staff and members of the Friendship Center, this is just the next step. You're not technically approving anybody relocating or moving and I say that in this regard, it seems to me to be the prudent decision because you don't know exactly how it relates to the rest of the budget. So although we've heard from members that they certainly are interested in moving and doing a community center concept, I wouldn't say that tonight you're making that decision. This is just the next step so that we can give you more information for when you need to make that decision, which is going to be, in my mind, shortly because we'll start having budget meetings here in the next 2 weeks.
I'm glad to see a decision will be made.
Eventually, yes. Paul?
Well, I just want to acknowledge all the constituents who have been reaching out to council about this issue, and it's clear to me that there is some serious interest in this, and I want to acknowledge the residents of the community who are being active and speaking their voice.
Okay. Anything else, Mayor? Yes.
I think it's also important for the council to understand that this does not need to be made during the budget process. You can make a bonding decision, if that's the direction we go, at any point in the year. It's just been common practice for the city to do that. The reason that I say that is because in 2 weeks, we're going to have some good understanding of what those costs will look like. But as we narrow the project down, and I would say projects because we shouldn't forget about the Masonic building being converted. We want to accomplish both of them if at all possible. That may take longer than the time that you need to set the preliminary levy. So the bond would be on top of that if we did a bond. So there's no magic about having to have this done by the middle part of September. If we do, that would be great. We'll know all of this going forward. If we don't, you'll still know what the impacts will be. You'll just have the operational part of the city and then this new debt service.
Okay. Anything else? I think we can vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.6 is the Fine Arts Commission granting program.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any discussion? Yeah.
Just an observation, again, I think this is a great program, I'll support the motion. Would the resulting artwork or whatever would come out of this program be something the city would have rights over or own or, have performance rights, whatever they might be? I mean, I would assume that since we made the grant to create the project, kind of like
If we wanted, we would have the option.
Okay.
And it could be that there's a work of art that we would want to give back to after in an appropriate period of time that we'd be displaying it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 5.7 is the Fine Arts Commission Creative Laureate.
Make a motion to approve the creation of the Creative Laureate.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Eileen. Discussion? Michelle?
I'm only in favor of this because I understand that Ken McCullough has taken a step back and his term is done and he's okay with the change because it wasn't stated in here. I did ask before the meeting, I wanted to make sure we weren't disregarding his terms of service, but since he's gone, it seems like an appropriate time to maybe shift the way that position operates, so I'm okay with it, but I wanted to clarify that Ken is not being pushed aside or abandoned. It was entirely his decision and his term was up.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Anything else? Paul?
Yeah, so curious about the reasoning or what the discussion was, why creative laureate, not artist laureate, and how some of our community of writers feel about this. I think this is a good move because we are a community of artists, not just poets, and I think this opens some room for some other creative talents.
Mayor and council, Thank you for answering your own question, Paul. That was exactly the
Okay.
thinking. That it best reflects the entirety of the creative community, as opposed to just having one particular discipline honored.
And that was the discussion of the FAC.
All right.
I'd still advocate that we have a creative laureate and a poet laureate. I mean, they're poet laureates of the state, of the United States. It seems like we're closing the door on that. And, I mean, again, it's my 2 cents.
Wasn't it a struggle to find poet laureates?
There's nothing that says they can't be
It
a
is.
poet.
Well, I
It's
was
just that there's
part of
only
all of
2.
those discussions, and it seems very clear that the shift is away from that. And while they could be, it doesn't sound like that's gonna be. Again, it's just, we've written letters, published in the League of Minnesota Cities about having a poet laureate program. This is certainly a new way of honoring. I think that's, it's refreshing. But I have actually heard from some poet laureates in the past, former ones, who were kind of wondering why this was happening. And there's more writers there, so hopefully they'll keep an open mind and we'll be able to keep that going. I just wonder what would have happened at the bridge opening. We wouldn't have maybe had a poem.
Mark would have sung.
I would have written a very poor poem.
I think creative dance, Mark doing creative dance would have been better.
I think we need to move on here.
Thanks.
George?
Yeah, like I say, I think if Ken McCulloch was on, Ken McCulloch could also fill this position as creative laureate. And I guess I'm asking you, Leon, just what the manager mentioned, you're with these groups. Let's try to find a way to incorporate part of the poet laureate in there.
Mayor and council, the understanding is that it can always be appointed to a poet if that's what the FAC deems appropriate in that phase. If the council wants to amend to have both, that's your decision. But there is no exclusion of poetry as one of the creative fields. It's just that there's a thought that we could honor other fields as well.
I guess just asking, just try to tie them all in together, and I know they certainly can do that, so.
And this is the recommendation from the Fine Arts Commission, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right, well, anything else? Any further amendments or? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Council concerns?
Let's go down to George tonight.
Thank you. Have a good week, everyone.
Wow, you're getting shorter and shorter. Paul?
Well, I have a few things related to Winona's natural environment. A big yay for removing the buckthorn tree down at the lake. I know that for some that may have been sad to see go, but buckthorn has been a problem. We've been working, Healthy Lake Winona, and the CCC has been working really hard at removing buckthorn and invasives around the lake. And this tree may have been responsible for many of the seedlings that ended up around the lake. Also,
How old do they estimate that tree was?
I don't know. It's the biggest buckthorn I've ever seen, nearly a foot in diameter. So that's
40 or 50 years old.
very, very large. I also want to thank John Howard for organizing the rattlesnake presentation by the DNR at Holsinger, and that was well attended and viewed widely on social media. And I just want to let the community know that there'll be some Oriental bittersweet removal at Sugarloaf Trailhead this Friday, August 9th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. Oriental bittersweet is really bringing down some of our forest canopy along some of our hillsides, and we're investing a lot of time, effort, and money in our Traverse Trail and helping keep that clear of OBS would be a really important thing to do. So if you want to come and volunteer to help, we'd certainly like to see you there.
Okay, thank you. Pam?
Nothing tonight, thank
All
you.
right, Michelle?
I'm just gonna mirror Mayor Peterson's comments. Consul General Ito was here with a team from JETRO and the Japanese American Society out of the Twin Cities, and we got to spend a lovely day with them. But after all the meetings were done, I was able to take them out and show them a little more of the community, and one of the things he wanted to do was get Blado's Donuts. And so when I was talking with them, they had nothing but extraordinarily positive things to say about our community. They were most impressed by the levee and the art installation there and loved the trees. And I think he commented that of 36 cities that received trees, we were the only one that hosted a national, state, and regional elected officials, as well as inviting our sister city for a very formal presentation of the trees, and that he believes we might be the only city that had all of the trees survive through the number of years that they've been there. As we were traveling, he sent some very positive things back to the High Council in Tokyo about our program, and really loved seeing Peerless and the Keto organization. And one of the things I wanted to say about Peerless that I wasn't aware of was that they went through a very long process to win both a state and regional award for clean water. So kudos should be given to them, because two of their young men spent quite a bit of time making sure that the outflow from their business was not affecting the river adversely. And I think maybe that's not well known, but it should be, because that's quite an accomplishment that they beat out regionally. I don't know if it was a 5-state region, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, something. I mean, they beat out quite a large group to get that award, and I don't think that can be understated considering they're stationed along our river. So, and Lucy and your whole team, unbelievable. I can't tell you the many wonderful and nice things they said about city staff and the way that you presented the entire day. I think it couldn't have gone better, really. So thank you for that.
And Michelle, I
Yes.
didn't hit you. I was going to give you a ride.
No, seriously, I took a tour of Peerless and he tried to run me over with the forklift. Now, I was a new council person and maybe he didn't like me, but he did come at me with the forklift.
I offered her a ride, but she didn't want
With
one.
the sharp ends, you know?
All right, Eileen?
I just had a question. As we've been talking about the increased semi-traffic, is there any way we can do some patching on Baker Street on north and south? It's really, really rough, and I've had some calls about it. And then also the intersection of 7th and Huff, there's some really rough potholes, especially if you're on your bike and you only have a bike and your bike gets ruined. So just if we can do some patching, since we can't totally...
Brian's taking notes.
Great, thank you.
Mental notes.
And then also, thank you to all of the volunteers who helped out with the Shakespeare Festival for the last month and a half. We have over 200 volunteers that help with food and ushering, and they're all community members, and they all volunteer multiple times. So thank you to all of those friends of Will. That's all.
All right, Al?
Thank you, Councilperson Alexander, for the report on the Japanese visit, and especially about the sakura trees, the cherry trees. That was quite an event when we'd had it, and I'm glad to see there was some recognition from somebody who visited from Japan. Just a reminder, the Winona Municipal Band concerts are still going strong at our wonderful Lake Park Band Shell. There's one this Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and the last one of the season is on the 14th as well, 8 o'clock at the Lake Park Band Shell. They're sounding better than ever.
I see the sign that was stolen is put
It's
back up,
It's
so that's
been
good.
reinstalled, yeah.
All right. Next.
All right, under the consent agenda, there's 4 items. Approval of the July 15th minutes, the final adoption of an ordinance to rezone the parcel at 317 Market Street, and the final adoption of an ordinance to establish a new public safety no parking zone, and then a claim against the city by Deborah Greenwood.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Al, seconded by Michelle. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
You won, Al.
I did, good.
Dang you, Al.
Well, sorry. It was
No,
an
you were just
optimistic
better.
or pessimistic.
It was,